Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Baltimore native Tony Harris hosts The Proof Is Out There Friday nights on the History Channel. I spoke to Harris about growing up in Baltimore and rooting on the Orioles and the Colts before reaching the heights of CNN and Entertainment Tonight. Hey, Tony Harris. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on WTOP.
Jason, I'm back in the Mid-Atlantic, so yes, it's always a good morning when I can come back close to home. Good to be with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people around here will definitely recognize you from many years on radio and TV.
Television and radio. Yes.
Everything, and we can go into maybe some of your hometown memories in a minute. But let's start with the reason we're here. So you're hosting an original series on the History Channel called The Proof Is Out There. So how long's the show been going on? Like, how far into the run are we?
So, Jason, this is our second season, right? And I'm happy to say that we've got, a nice chunk of the third season in the can. So, I'm just thankful that, the audience, the History Channel audience that loves this space, we've been able to find another show that, that's got them interested and engaged. And so season 2 is on the air right now. Season 3, at least part of it is in the can, and I can't thank folks enough for finding us. First of all, it's really hard, as you know, in this business to find a concept, a different concept, a twist on a concept that'll actually engage folks. And, the folks over at History really know their audience. They found another avenue into this space of anomalies and UFOs and UAPs and we've got a successful show. So I feel like in many ways I'm along for the ride, and it's been a great ride so far.
Yeah, you said it's always tricky to find a new cool twist on a concept. So tell us the concept. Tell us the basic premise of The Proof Is Out There.
So Jason, take me out of the equation. Let's just talk about that the concept of the show, because I think that's the brilliance of it. We're a show that essentially is crowdsourced, right? And in the life of our show, we've gone from not having much material because we wanted folks to get engaged. We didn't know if they would engage. So we leaned heavily on Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Loch Ness Monster to fuel the early episodes of the show. At the end of the show, there was this call to action for folks to keep those cameras rolling. Everyone's got a cell phone. We've got 6, 7, 8 billion people on the planet. Most have a cell phone. And we just encourage them to point their cell phones to the skies, to the seas, anything they see on land. And if they find it interesting and curious, to send it in. So that's one of the conceits of the show, right? The other is that we've got a panel of experts. We're talking about theoretical physicists, audio and video forensic analysts who take a look at the material and come to decisions as to whether it's A, real, not faked, not a hoax, because there's a lot of that going on. And then they render a verdict. And that's the other piece of the show that I think separates us from a lot of the other shows in the space, is that we get material, we take a look at it, we turn it over to the experts. I get to ask my questions. The team gets to ask its questions of producers, associate producers, executives get to ask questions of the experts. Hey, why do you see this that way, right? And then we render a verdict. In most cases, I like to think that our track record is really good, right? I don't know what the Vegas odds are on us, but I think for the most part, our track record is really good. And when we don't know, the other piece of the show is that we claim it, we own it. Hey, we don't know what the hell this is, but we're going to keep looking at it. So I think those are the twists in the concept that really resonate with folks. And whenever you can get folks engaged in some kind of debate over something, you're not boring them. And our first job is, to do no harm. And the second is to engage people in debate. So I think we're checking most of the boxes.
Yeah, I love the crowdsource just concept. It's like America's Funniest Home Video, except we're not turning in our funny videos. We're turning in these videos where we're a little weirded out, creeped out, mysterious. Wait, what did I just see in the sky or whatever?
Things under the bed, things that go bump in the night. Right. In the time that I've been doing the show, I will tell you that I'm taking a lot more late night, early morning walks, looking through the skies, all right? Just as a byproduct of doing the show.
have in doing that, have you ever been tempted to send in your own footage? Have you seen
No,
anything?
not at this point. I got to tell you, because that's one of the things that's kind of interesting about them deciding that they wanted to work with a journalist on this show. Because I've got a pretty wide brimmed skeptical hat that I throw on, right? We have to as journalists, and so it's part of our training. It's our curiosity, and then our curiosity leads us down the road of our training in journalism, and we're always asking the next question. Sometimes that gets us in trouble, but that's what we do. And I told them straight up, look, I haven't had one of these experiences. I understand. I mean, I come from a pretty big family, and there have been times when we've had what we consider to be the weird uncle who was seeing things, and we were like, okay, Uncle Charlie's having visions again. Let's be kind to him. Let's get him back to the basement, out to the garage as easily and as quickly as possible without hurting his feelings too much, and we'll slide his meals under the door. Right. So that's been where we've lived in this space for a lot of years, right? Where people thought that folks who engaged in these kind of conversations and recorded contact with beings and entities that they couldn't describe really. And we thought of them as outliers, and we marginalized them. But we've come so far from those days to where we are now. And I'm looking forward to a day where maybe I have something that I can talk about as a personal experience on the show. But to this point, it hasn't happened. And, and even if it did, I'd be so skeptical of it. I probably would want to run it through the ringer like 100 times before I said anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you when you decide, I'm sure you get all these videos, and you and your team, the producers, narrow it down, decide which ones you're going to put in, in each episode. Do you then interview the people that sent in the footage? And
yes.
Okay.
It's all of that, Jason. It is all of that. So, what I like about our process is, okay, you've heard me talk about, the concept and how the concept of the show is the formatting of the show is the real magic of the show. The other thing that we get to do with this is the History Channel. So we get all of these clips in, and we sort them out, right? And we put them in piles. And, what we want, an ideal clip for us is something that someone has captured that has its own story, right? And for that story, we go to the source. We go to the person who recorded that video. So we go to the source, we get that story, and then we add storytelling layers on top of that. If the video has some ties to events in history, right? So you can capture military pilots maybe capturing cigar-shaped orbs, right? Oh my goodness, the History Channel can live for days on that, because there are so many videos back through history and so many stories of cigar-shaped orbs, right? So now we've added that extra layer of storytelling. There's the story from the person who captured the video. There is the historical significance of that and how it dates back so that we can timestamp it. And then we turn it over to the experts for their story of their interpretation of what this means. And then we come to a verdict. So that's an ideal process for us in terms of getting a clip that rises to the level that it ends up on the show.
Wow, that's super cool.
It's fun, right? It's fun. Yeah, it's really
fun.
Working on this. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you're saying with the History Channel, the ethos there, the credibility there, not to mention your own journalism career, and you bring in all the experts, it adds another layer of seriousness.
That's it, Jason.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I know our local listeners would love, let's hit the hometown angle really quick. I know you were born in what, Baltimore, but
yeah. So grew up in Baltimore, graduated, went to Douglas Senior High School and Lamel Middle School, and a Baltimore City kid through and through. My first real experience with DC was when I broke into the business as a radio guy, right? So I was working for the old, I guess it was the old OK100 in DC, right? And then that was bought out and bought again. But yeah, I started in radio in Baltimore for what was WLPL and WSID. I was 18, 19 years old. I was doing an oldies format where I didn't really understand and know the histories of the music that I was playing or the artists that I was playing at the time, right? But I'm faking it until I make it, right? And then moved over to DC to do an urban, one of the early urban radio formats, and just, look, it's 40 minutes down the road. So I was in DC all the time.
And then tell us how you went into TV there.
I knew from my earliest days in Baltimore, watching some real heroes, and, Sue Simmons, the great Sue Simmons, who I think spent some time in DC and certainly in Baltimore. And and then she went on to New York, and then Oprah Winfrey had a stop in Baltimore as well. So there were amazing people in Baltimore who I was able to watch. And there was a taxi cab driver who did a show in Baltimore. And I said, wow, I can't do what Sue does. I can't do what Oprah is doing, but I think I can do what that guy is doing. And that was the thing, that the inspiration to move into television. And I got really lucky. I moved to Cleveland to continue the career. You know how we are in this business. We're nomads. I moved to Cleveland, and that's where I broke into television, essentially on a television show, an old format called Evening Magazine. And I was just telling people what was happening in their wonderful city for the weekend and how they could get out and have a great time over the weekend. And that's how it started for me. And, the moves came quickly after that. I kind of kid myself just to sort of pat myself on the back when things get a little, dicey in this crazy career that we're in, that, I have lived a kind of career that would make me a low first round draft choice, but definitely a first round draft choice. There's the radio, there's the television. There's been great jobs in television, obviously, with Entertainment Tonight. And, I worked on a magazine show in Los Angeles during the magazine show Glut, which was a wonderful time. Josh Mankiewicz was a colleague of mine. He's now sort of one of the stalwarts at Dateline NBC.
Not to mention related Ben Mankiewicz too, right?
That's right. The great Ben Mankiewicz, right? And then, obviously everyone knows, if you know me at all, you probably know the run at CNN. It was a terrific 6-year run at CNN, which I loved and enjoyed. And then, I've got kind of a signature true crime show out there that's available online on one of the platforms. I don't know which ones, but Scene of the Crime with Tony Harris. So I've just had a really wonderful, diverse career, and couldn't be more happy to be working with the History Channel, the good folks at A&E, and looking forward to doing more projects with them.
Awesome. Yeah, it is quite a run. I would say, a first round draft choice, maybe lower, but you're definitely, you make the
low first round.
Low first round. I love it. Well, hey, speaking of which, you just made a sports analogy. Do you carry your Baltimore or DC ties? Was it Orioles baseball? Was it Washington football?
Thank you for that question. I love talking about that. I love talking about the sports and the teams of my life. So I was not much of, I was an Orioles kid. Let me make that perfectly clear. And if you're asking me my favorite Oriole of all time, it was the late great Paul Blair, the center fielder for the Orioles.
You're talking to an Orioles fan right here, so we're good.
You know what I'm talking about.
I was a Cal Ripken kid, so yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's where we are in eras, right? I'm a much older man than you. No, I was.
Let me tell you about Boog Powell.
Let me tell you about Boog. Right. Yeah. I'm Boog. I'm Brooks. I'm Frank. I'm Palmer, Cuellar, McNally, right? I know Dobson. I'm always leaving out Dobson. I shouldn't do that. But no, I was
Weaver. Yeah.
Yes. And I was a junior Oriole as a kid. My mom turned me on the baseball, and I can't watch the regular season, but I love postseason baseball. I was a Burt Jones fan, right? And those Lydell Mitchell, those Colts teams I really loved. But I got to tell you, at the end of the day, I'm a Ravens and Raiders fan.
How does that work out? Not to tangent it too much, but okay. So Ravens make sense because the Colts leave and you adopt the Ravens. But where did the Raiders come into it?
Goes to the post. I love the rebellious spirit of those Raiders teams, the Alzado teams. I just love the color scheme. I just loved everything about the imaging and the packaging and the marketing and Al Davis, everything about the Raiders. I don't know if it had something to do with me being an inner city kid, and they felt like the inner city football team to me. They just felt, I just had an affinity for them. And it's been really, talk about the barren years of being a Raiders fan.
Yeah, well, I feel you. I feel you because I grew up before there was the Ravens in between. So I was a Joe. Well, when I'm saying I was a Joe Gibbs, Washington fan. So you're Marcus Allen Raiders. They whipped us in that Super Bowl. So sorry for what happened to Bo, and would have loved to have seen what his career turned into. Rest in peace, John Madden. Man, there's been a lot of tie-ins here.
A lot of tie-ins. So. It's always been Raiders. It's been, I did some radio work for the Ravens for a while there when they made the move from Cleveland to Baltimore. And so, I've got a special affinity for those early teams, in particular of the Ravens. I got to know a lot of those guys, Ogden and Ray, and so it'll always be a Ravens fan. I don't know when we air this, but they just had a big win over Tom Brady and the Bucs, and let's hope they can continue the winning ways there. And for the love of God, pay Lamar, pay him, Lord have mercy.
Right. Lamar Jackson.
It's all monopoly money anyway. Just pay the man.
Exactly. The proof is out there. It's on footage that you should pay.
That's it.
The game tape is out there. That's my best attempt to bring it back around because
that was wonderful. Well done, man. You found the segue. That was difficult to do. Masterfully handled by you, Jason.
But just bringing it full circle. Because I know you mentioned you've done some of the other shows like Scene of the Crime and I guess Hate in America, ID limited series, the murder of George Floyd. And I mean that's way more serious than what we're talking about. But this concept that ties the through line is we all have these cell phone cameras now, and it can capture and bring to light things like George Floyd on one hand, or in the show you're doing here, it can help us
the Megalodon.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Megalodon. So just, I guess I'm trying to tie it all together in like a big picture question here at the end of how this whole new age we live in, it's a crowdsourcing age for solving crimes and otherwise.
Well, I think you're right about that. Here's what I will say to you. And it ties back to an earlier point. This is not just material and an area of curiosity for folks who we labeled, as outcasts and outliers and tried to marginalize. At the point at which, Jason, you have congressional hearings, public congressional hearings about sightings. You've got the Defense Department involved. You've got military pilots who are saying, I understand every bit of the tech around me in this billion-dollar aircraft. The thing I'm seeing out here on the horizon, the thing that's on my radar, the thing I'm capturing on video, I can't explain that. So explain that to me, smart people on the planet, right? So at the point where we are now, this is all, and the people who are involved in the space and what people are capturing, I think we're getting closer and closer to a kind of drop the mic moment where we capture the imagery, we capture the video that ends up being indisputable. And that the smartest minds have to coalesce about finding out whether or not we are truly, on the planet alone, or if there are others out there, whether they look like us, resemble us, maybe it's something on the microorganic level, right? A microorganism of some sort. But other life forms out there that we are unaware of, and how we interact at first contact is going to be one of the defining moments and questions and answers of our lifetime. And I'm just happy to be in a space with really smart people who are helping me, through my lack of knowledge here, and to be a surrogate, hopefully an effective surrogate for the audience as they watch. The proof is out there.
Great. Awesome. Yes. Thanks for that big picture transcendent way to answer to bring us full circle. You're the pro.
There you go, brother. There you go.
Final seconds. Anything specific to this season 2 that you want to tease? And again, I don't know if it's going to run this week or next week or whatever, but like in the upcoming few episodes, what sort of stuff do we tackle?
All I can tell you is that from season 1 to season 2, we've taken a quantum leap in terms of the content we've received from people. Thanks again for sending in all the videos and the clips. It's a quantum leap in terms of the volume of material we have, what we have to choose from, the complexity of what we're seeing, not just in the videos that need to be analyzed, but also in the hoaxes and the fakesters and fraudsters that are out there trying. Now we've reached this place as a show where we've kind of been accepted by an audience where they're trying to fool us. The goal is to fool us on the show. So, in this season, you will see more sophisticated fakes and even more compelling video than our first season. It's a bigger, badder, bolder show the second season than in the first, and it's all because of the help we've received and the assist we've received from our viewers. So thanks to the viewers again.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you joining us, Tony Harris, local hometown
That's
hero
it.
from
That's
radio
it.
and TV, and everyone will know you from around here. So everyone tune in to
Yes.
the History Channel to see the proof is out there. I believe
Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern time on the History Channel. Look, Jason, appreciate it. That was fun, brother. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.
Explain your DNA on 10 cases, man.
You're inside the police interrogation room with the alleged Potomac River rapist.
I'm not guilty on any of this stuff.
So calm, so reasonable. Could this be the man who terrorized women for 9 years before murdering a brilliant scientist 2 decades ago? Experience one of the most fascinating true crime podcasts available. Join crime reporter Paul Wagner for Unknown Subject, Season 3 of WTOP's American Nightmare series. Search American Nightmare Podcast on all podcast platforms.
I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.